Swadika, welcome back to Thai League Central. It's been roughly, I think, a month almost since the last time we sat here and did a pod. I'm your host, Ta Lau. Today, I'm joined by Paul Murphy. It is some midweek madness going on here as we're going to preview you all the games for match day 12 that you should look forward to, as well as recap what just ended a couple of minutes ago here as we're recording on Wednesday, November 18th. Chiang Rai just beat SCG Muangthong 2-1. So before we go and preview the games coming up in match day 12, we're going to focus on this one. Paul, just ended. You and I spoke off camera. Dramatic game. I guess very fun in terms of the attacking and all the action base that was going on the pitch. Lots of talking points, though, regarding the calls from the referee and VAR and all that stuff. What's your main takeaway from it?
It was one of the best games of the season, without doubt. There was a lot of drama, a lot of chances at both ends. But ultimately, the winning goal came from a VAR call, which was, again, very controversial. Extreme delay. The referee spoke to the VAR room for several minutes. I mean, what went on in that conversation, I have no idea. Because if they thought they needed to review it, why didn't they just tell them straight away it's a possible handball? The handball itself, we saw multiple camera angles. The referee looked at it several times. For me, it still wasn't clearly hitting the hand. It might have done, but the angles I saw, in no way was it conclusive. In those cases, when there's doubt, you shouldn't give the penalty, in my view. Yeah. So I just thought it spoiled the game a little bit. After that, it got very fractious. The referee came under a lot of pressure, made a few more bad calls. So, and in the end, we saw the strange red card at the end, some more drama towards the end with a couple of goal line clearances from Chiang Rai. Over the peak, I thought Muangthong United were very unlucky to lose, given what they contributed to the game. But it was certainly a dramatic game of football.
Yeah, for sure. And, of course, Jackson Quayle, Jaja, getting 2 goals against his former club. Silencing the critics, I should say. But, I mean, those opportunities he converted, I mean, it was pretty, clear-cut chances. One one-on-one opportunity against Damwan Lam, and then also a penalty that he tucks away after, of course, all that VAR check. But just before we move on, talking a bit about the teams here, Chiang Rai, before they head out to ACL, second place, looks like that ACL spot for next year is going to be a guarantee for them. How confident do you think Chiang Rai will hold on to a spot in Asia's most prestigious competition?
Well, they're in a good position, but I think certainly Port can catch them. They've played 14 games now, I think.
Yeah, they are.
So if Port can keep up their winning streak, they'll overtake them, I think. So
yeah, for sure.
BG obviously we expect. So I think they'll certainly get a playoff spot by the looks of it, but I'm not sure they'll get a group stage guarantee with a top 2 finish at the midway point.
Yeah, they're at 26 points now, 14 games played. Port's at 22 points with 10 games played. So definitely, I mean, 4 points in between them. If Port win it out, they're going to leapfrog them for sure. Now, looking at SCG Muangthong, Mario Yurovsky, he started perfect, one away at Taro, one away at Buriram, back home, took care of things against Patna Nikom City in the FA Cup, and now going away to Chiang Rai. Muangthong's not lost to Chiang Rai in over 8 years, and that streak has come to an end. As we see 2020, lots of streaks coming to an end this year. But for Muangthong, going forward, they play again this weekend against Korat. I guess heads up from here. I mean, it wasn't that bad of a performance today, was it?
No, I mean, I've enjoyed watching Muangthong since Mario took over, to be honest. They've adopted a much more entertaining approach. There's great movement up front, lots of options. They create a lot of chances. So I don't think they'll be overly disappointed with the performance. I think Mario will use the refereeing performance as a way to galvanise the players. I think he'll shift the onus, the blame on the referee to make sure the players stay motivated and keep their morale up. And I think he'll use that possibly to good effect on Sunday. So yeah, I don't think they'll be too downhearted after the performance tonight. The result's obviously very disappointing, however, for them.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah, that's it for the Chiang Rai's last game, as they now will fly out to Qatar, I believe. Is that where the AFC Champions League is, Paul?
In the bubble, yes.
Yes, oh, in the bubble. Yes, in the bubble. Now, let's shift our attention now to match day 12. Of course, we have a Friday night action. And Paul, believe it or not, Port is back at Pat Stadium. Yes, it's been that long. The last time we spoke, they played at Leo Stadium in a win against Prachuap. Now the lights are back on, new generators, everything's taken care of by Madam. They're going to host Suphanburi 6:30 p.m. kickoff on Friday. Port in a win streak. So are Suphanburi. I mean, Suphanburi haven't lost in a while, and they've taken care of business as well in their game. So two sides really looking for, I guess, a boost in terms of league position. We're seeing Port almost guarantee an ACL spot. They could, like we said earlier, move all the way up to second place if they win out all their games. How do you see this one playing out? It's a Friday night game, Port back home in front of their home fans.
It's a huge boost to Port to be back at their own stadium, assuming that the electricity holds out this time. They're on a winning streak, as you said. I don't think they've played particularly well during that time, from what I've seen anyway. I mean, certainly against Bangkok United a couple of weeks ago, I don't think either side were very good, to be honest. I thought it was a poor quality game. They got the late goal and survived a controversial moment in added time as well with a penalty claim. I saw them in the FA Cup. They obviously started with a much changed 11. And they had to bring on the big hitters to save the game a little bit. They almost on the end of a shock in that one.
Yeah,
and obviously they've beaten Rayong, Prachuap, Trat, teams you would expect them to beat. So it may be misleading to suggest they're on great form. That being said, Suphanburi, it's the kind of game Port usually win at home to a team like Suphanburi. And as you said, Suphanburi have got a couple of good results recently. Thumped Police Tero 5-0 last time out, which was a bit of a strange result, to be honest. But they'll be full of confidence because of that. And I think it may be tough. I mean, I can imagine it being quite tight early on, but I think Port will pull through in the end and do anything to win. We have heard rumours, of course, about Port getting restless with their players. Heberty probably on his way out, Bolly coming in. And, Port made some mistakes, I think, at this time last year when they made too many changes to what was a reasonably good formula. And it's just going to be interesting to see what they do to change things up at the halfway point. But they're certainly in the best position to seal that second ACL spot.
Yeah. And, as you were speaking, I went and checked some stats regarding how these two sides, did facing each other last year. And Port actually won both, the games home and away. But the season before in 2018, they split the game. So, I mean, there's always a chance, it is the Thai league. You never know what's going to happen. We've seen so many upsets in the past few years, especially in this season as well. So Port favored in this one. I think that coming back at home and being able to play in front of their home fans again, that's going to be a major, major boost because there is no other place like Pat Stadium. And looking at Suphanburi, yes, they did, destroy Police Tero, but Police Tero haven't looked that good either. I mean, since the return of the COVID break, yes, they've played well. Yes, they've, Rangsun's building a team there. But in terms of execution and in terms of getting the result, I don't think that the team is living up to the hype a lot of people thought Police Tero were gonna get. So yeah, definitely, I think Port is favored in this one. I'm also looking forward to see how they line up because there was the Thai League squad, there's the FA Cup squad. Now you get a bit of time for players, if there's injuries and things like that for players coming back. I know Bonilla is coming back. I think Tanaboon is also coming back. So interesting to see how he does. And yeah, if Heberty's not fit yet, let's see how the team plays without him. So yeah, lots of talking points for this one. I'm predicting a Port win. I think they're going to take care of things. I'm going to go 2-0 to Port. How do you see this one playing out?
Yeah, I think Port will do the job, possibly 3-1, a couple of goals in it. I can see it being level at half-time. I think Port will get the goals they need in the second half, possibly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Let's go now to Saturday. This one is a 6 p.m. kickoff between first place, team in first place, BG Pathum, 29 points, 11 games played. They're going to host Chonburi, who's in 6th, play the same amount of games, 11 games. They're at 6th place with 19 points, so 10 points in between them. BG, again, undefeated so far this season, while for Chonburi, they did just come away from a very, very big win in the FA Cup away to Suraport. And before that, their last league game, they beat Ratchaburi in a late dramatic fashion as they took care of business there at home. Now, these two sides, very familiar to each other. They've been around Thai football for a long time. It seems like it's the turns have, the tides have turned a little bit because Chonburi used to be that bigger historic club. Now BG is the rising one, and they're back at home against a side that's, way, I guess, below them in terms of points tally. So how do you see this one? Do you think BG, they're just going to go straight to business and go and take the 3 points here? Or do you think Chonburi's got something to prove?
Chonburi, I think it's been the same for the last couple of years. They're very difficult to predict. They can come and make it very difficult for teams. They can pull off some big results, but they can also be extremely disappointing and fall flat. This looks like the kind of game to me where BG will struggle. Because I think they've been really good in the big games so far this season, BG. We've been impressed by the way they've played against teams like Buriram, Port, Chiang Rai, Sukhothai. They went there and won quite convincingly, even if the scoreline wasn't that much so. But I don't know, Chonburi are organised, they spoil play. So it's a little bit, they're both quite pragmatic teams. And I can see them, Chonburi, digging in and making it difficult for BG because they're not expected to go there and attack. They'll kind of sit there, they'll be quite happy to get a point. So I think they'll just invite BG onto them and try and hit them on the break. In a way, I remember seeing Chonburi at Tero last month. And they did a good job on Tero. They knew how they played. They were well prepared for them. They broke up the way they played and they won the game. They beat Ratchaburi last time out. That was an impressive result. Equally, they lost 3-0 at home to Chiang Rai United, which is a poor display. But don't forget, Chonburi are still in with a chance of a Champions League qualifications playoff spot.
Yeah.
So they might have their eye on that. I expect them to be well prepared for this, and I think they have the ability to take a point. I've got a feeling about this one.
Yeah, I think from looking at the stats in the past 2 years they played each other. Obviously not last season because BG were in T2, but in the last 2 years, in 2018 BG won at home. In 2017 BG also won at home. So it seems like this fixture in the past, I guess, 4 or 5 years looking back, BG's only lost to Chonburi once. So maybe we're seeing a little bit of a trend here. I know the teams have changed, obviously with managers, with new players coming in, but I think, looking at it from that perspective of how they've played each other in the previous years, BG's coming on top. It seems like Chonburi's not being able to deal with them. And with this year, with the way BG's playing, I can't disagree with that. I think that they're going to win this one. I don't see Chonburi providing a lot of threat going forward. I think that they do have some options. Boskovic and Kion can certainly score goals, but with BG's defense, I think they're good enough to be able to hold their ground. Of course, Victor and Tunez got the rest they needed. They didn't play in the All-Star game against the Thai national team. So they've rested. They're very healthy. And yeah, I see BG continuing their perfect run so far. I do agree though that Chonburi have that ability to maybe cause some issues. You know, Sasom is somebody who loves playing as the underdog, but you know the way the BG are this year, I think they're miles ahead of Chonburi, so they're gonna take care of this one. I think it's gonna be 2-0 as well. So 2-0 for both this game and the last game. What do you think of the scoreline for this one?
Yeah, I'm going to go for Chonburi to take a point. I think obviously BG are going to be favourites, but we saw
Okay.
BG struggle at home to Rayong. They had to rely on 2 penalties to get a win. We
Uh-huh.
saw them struggle against Summit Prakan City, where they ended up drawing. So I can see possibly a similar story here. I mean, don't get me wrong, I wouldn't be surprised to see a BG victory,
Yeah.
but I've got a feeling just what I've seen of Chonburi this season, they could go there and cause a bit of trouble and upset the form book.
Hmm. Yeah, that definitely. I like that you're disagreeing with me. It's good. We have something to talk to in our we talk about in our group chat. All right, let's move on now to Sunday. This is a 6:30 p.m. kickoff between Sukhothai and Buriram. Wow, it seems like this game. It might be the first time these two sides face off, and Sukhothai is favored because the way Sukhothai has been playing, especially at home. I know they did drop that game against BG Patum, but man, they took care of Chiang Rai last week. Uh, they seem like a team that's playing with rhythm, playing with freedom, and just Surprong has done a phenomenal job with this side. Not a lot of grade A players, you know, lots of 25, 20, 25 or older players in this team, lots of Thai names in this side who's not really featured in the national team. But hey, Bajo, Ibsen Melo, Myungjun Oh, the foreigners are gelling well together with Thais who've been veterans in this league. And they're facing a Buriram team that's really struggling a lot in terms of form. I know they just crushed Rayong, but they haven't looked that good. They haven't looked like the side that a lot of people are expecting them to be under Gama. How do you think this one will play out?
It's definitely one of those games where any result wouldn't be surprising. A home win, an away win, or a draw. I
Mm,
think there's any possibility there. Buriram will have been boosted by that win over Rayong. I know it wasn't the toughest fixture, and other teams will hammer Rayong this season and already have. But I think the biggest problem Buriram possibly have is that there's again uncertainty about the future of some of their players
yeah.
leading up to the midpoint of the season. We've heard a lot of speculation about Shepovic. I mean, he's started scoring. I think he's got 4 in his last 3 games.
Hmm.
But there's speculation around that somebody might come in and replace him. I don't know if he's aware of that, or if that's something that people are talking about at the club. But that won't help. However, Super Choke got a goal. Super Chai got a goal last time out. Those are the players they need to raise their game because they haven't really come into form this season at all. With Shepovic scoring as well, the confidence might be up a little bit, and Buriram might go there. And not just feeling that they're not underdogs as might be perceived otherwise. Sukhothai, as you said, I mean, last time they were very impressive against Chiang Rai United. Melo, if he's fit, he was injured last time out when he was in the act of scoring. If he's fit again, and Baggio obviously has been in outstanding form, they will cause a lot of problems for the Buriram defence. They haven't always looked that safe this season. So it's a real tough one to call. And as you said, it is interesting to see Buriram going there and possibly being slight underdogs.
Yeah.
So I might go for the draw in this one because it's such a game where any outcome is possible. So
Yeah.
I'm just going to go in and say it's going to be a draw. And I think
Yeah.
possibly 2-2. I think there could be a few goals in this.
Yeah, I definitely see goals as well. Interesting fact as well, last year, both fixtures ended up in draws. So Buriram didn't beat Sukhothai. And in 2018, it was actually whoever was playing at home won. So, in 2019 and 2018, we've seen now it's not really Buriram as dominant over Sukhothai. Maybe some matchup issues there. Maybe Sukhothai, they're extra careful, extra defensive against them. But before that, obviously 17, 16, 15, and 14, before all that, Buriram won every single game. So maybe it's the last few years now, Sukhothai have figured something about Buriram that is helping them earn results. So yeah, interesting there. I'm going to actually go with an away win. I think Buriram, they have so much pressure on them that it's about time Gama delivers. How much longer will Buriram be hovering around, that 10th, 11th, 9th area? Because definitely this team needs to be able to finish in the top 4 come the end of the first leg. That's always been the target. And I don't see how anyone's going to allow that not to happen. So the pressure is there. There's so much more pressure on Buriram than Sukhothai. Sukhothai is overachieving, definitely, by a lot of people's standard. But Buriram, the pressure's on. I think they need to deliver in this one. I think they will. So I'm going to go with a 1-0, maybe a late header, a late free kick, something like that will earn the visitors the 3 points. So that's my pick there. Paul, now before we end the show, obviously there are others talking points around the league. You did want to mention about Totawan's first league game. He'll go away to Trat. Not an easy place to start off. How do you think True Bangkok will do?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely something that's going to be interesting to watch how Totawan reignites his career, because that's what he's got to do now. He's had 2 real misfires since he left Muangthong United. After those 2 great years with them, and then his 3rd year ended quite badly, and then 2 really, really, really poor spells at Police Tero and Suphanburi. And it's really damaged his reputation. And a lot of people rate him highly. And obviously when he was at Muangthong, he looked like a great prospect for.
Yeah, with Muangthong, he won I think over 70% of his games during the first 2 years there. And then since he's moved to Tero and Supan, it was like less than 30%. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's strange because that Champions League especially, I just thought I was so impressed with the way the team was organised, the way they pressed opposition, and obviously had strong players to work with at Muangthong. And the question is, can he get the best out of this Bangkok United squad, which is clearly talented, but clearly lacking in confidence at the moment and clearly underachieving. So it's a big job for him, but I think he really needs. I think AFC Champions League qualification they can probably put on the back burner. The goal is really to be as strong as possible, getting it up into the second leg of the season, stopping the rot, which has really seen him drop from 1st to 9th since the return after COVID. So his job is just to restore confidence, get a system in place, and start grinding results out and getting wins again. Because without that, they could drop into the relegation zone if he doesn't make a difference quickly.
Yeah. With Totawan, I've spoke to lots of people in the media, especially the Thai media, who's covered the national team at Changsik, obviously. And one very interesting thing they told me was that Totawan is a type of manager that goes very in depth with his tactics. Some players who don't have the football IQ level enough for the Thai league don't understand what he's talking about. The fact that this guy is almost 1 step ahead of lots of players in his team. And I think that might be the reason of the downfall at Tero and Suphanburi. I'm not saying Tero and Suphanburi players don't have high football IQ, but I'm just saying comparing the IQ of those group of players with the dream team squad at Muangthong, maybe he's that type of manager who needs to work with players that are at the caliber of the national team, have been around the game for a while. Maybe he doesn't fit youngsters or players at a grade B level. So that could explain the reason he struggled at those 2 teams. And with True Bangkok, I think it's a perfect setup for him. Lots of players who played in the national team before, lots of players who are currently playing in the national team. And you look at foreigners in the side, you got Hosa guys, a true professional, Vandulus, who's playing in Thai League for a while now, same as Everton. So I think this could work with him and True Bangkok. Like you said, it's going to be very hard to chase for that ACL spot. But I think this is the right man for the job at True Bangkok now. Someone who's, very smart, very intelligent at what he does, and can bring a new dimension to this team. So there we have it. Thank you so much, Paul, for joining me in this episode. We'll see you again next week for a preview. Till next time, peace.